following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia in Fury. It's a joy to be with you all once again. And speaking of a joy, right here, right now, I get to speak to a legend of the wrestling business, a Hall of Famer across several Hall of Fames, and a Hall of Famer in life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one, the only, one half of the Rock and Roll Express. It's Mr. Ricky Morton. How are you, sir? How are you today?
Oh, man, I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Something happened there, and I think we got cut off or something. Okay.
That's all good.
Are you good? Okay, man. Hey, man, I'm absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having me on your show. And I think I need to take you on the road with me to do that intro every time I come to the ring. That instead of going in this corner, Ricky Morton. No, I'm just kidding, man. Thank you, man, for having me on your show. I'm excited about doing this. I can see in your background back here, we have a belt that's on a red short. What belt is that?
That is the WZWA Network Heavyweight Championship. That's my YouTube channel that I work for. So.
Oh, cool. Got you, bud.
But Ricky, this is so exciting to have the chance to talk to you. But first and foremost, what I wanted to talk about with you first is NWA 74, the recent pay-per-view that took place. And I want to talk about your son Kerry, because I just wanted your thoughts on this, and I want to know what you thought about my thoughts on this. Kerry taking on Homicide in this matchup for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. And I'd seen Kerry perform several times as your tag team partner in the past. And now I was seeing him take on a guy like Homicide in this matchup. And one thing that I thought to myself was, during this matchup, with how Homicide was getting more and more violent, physical, I felt like seeing this Kerry Morton. He was a young man at the beginning of the match, and then by the end, he had grown into being a full, grown man. That's how I felt watching this matchup, and I was really, really impressed. How did you feel your son went, and how do you feel your son is going in his career so far?
Well, you got to understand, and just to tell you this off the bat, Kerry is Kerry Morton, and I am Ricky Morton. And what I'm trying to do is make Kerry understand that he has to be himself. He can't be me. Yeah. And I don't want him to be me. He can't help it. His last name is Morton, but you're going to have to make your own way in this business. Kerry's been with me. I'm a second generation wrestler. Kerry's a third generation wrestler. The reason that you hadn't seen more of him is because I never had a time in my life to get an education. And Kerry, yes, he still has 2 more years of college, and I want that done. But now we're going back to NWA. NWA, to me, the National Wrestling Alliance is home. This is where it all starts, and this is where you learn, and this is what you got to do. But see, as Kerry wrestling in single matches, you see he starts to learn on his own. This business is a hard business, no matter what anybody out there thinks. And to make your point in this business, Homicide, very tough individual. He has worked hard to be the junior heavyweight title, and he don't want to lose it either. The path that Kerry sets for himself is set right here in NWA. I'm looking forward to him. Man, I can't wait to November. And I hope a lot of people out here will be able to get. We had a pay-per-view in New Orleans, Louisiana, where Kerry is going to fight Homicide again for the title. Nobody knows what happens. That's one good thing about NWA. Nobody knows. But it's just part of business, losing your temper. But you got to be able to hold your poise, and And listen to me, dude, I'm 66 years old. My whole career, I was the smallest guy in the ring, and I did this right here, but I didn't lose matches by being, I didn't win matches a lot of times by being physical. It was just outsmarting your opponent, and and wait for that one mistake. And when you make that one mistake, the match is over with, and that's what it's all about. So I'm hoping that he'd, uh, you know, I'm just looking forward to the match, but most of all, I'm looking forward for Kerry. This is a great opportunity. This is a stepping stone, and win or lose, you hear me, to take the next step to the higher level.
Absolutely. Yes, I was very impressed, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he progresses in future. And now time to get back to you, Ricky. 44 years in the business is what my research tells me. What do you attribute to your longevity in the business?
Okay, I started today. Matter of fact, is my birthday. I'm 66 years old. I had my first match when I was 16. So it's 50 years in the business, but
It's 50.
that was yeah, but it was 10 years before Robert and I even teamed up together. My longevity, you know what, it's, first of all, you got to be able to love this business. There's nothing more than I love and teaching about our business. It's a lost art. 9 out of 10 times you have guys that get in the ring that don't even understand what our business is about. A lot of them is just to go in there and high spot number 1, high spot number 2, high spot number 3, and it's not even nothing like that. You got to be able to come in there. This is our stage. When you get in that room, you got to be able to perform and to tell that story that you want the people to understand. And that's why I'm still around. It's a lost art that I'm still out here trying to teach people what to do. Another thing is even though I'm 66, I'm not a bodybuilder. I take care of myself. Soon, as we get through here, because I'm on, it's in the morning here, I'll be headed to the gym. And then tonight, I'll be at my wrestling school training with guys. And the longevity is that, and people ask me all the time, when you're going to retire? And I tell them, I said, dude, if I sit down, I never get back up. My body wouldn't do. So I'm just going to stay as active as I can and until I can't. So, 9 out of 10 times, yeah, I'm an old man, but trust me, I'm still in my prime if I want to be. Okay.
Excellent, Ricky. Yeah, because like I think about you being in the business so long, still wrestling, still working, and I kind of think about when I interviewed a man by the name of John Steele, who was the drummer for a band called The Animals. If you know the song House of the Rising Sun. 80 years old when I interviewed him, and he was still touring the world. And I said to him, how do you keep doing it? How do you still do it? And he said, well, Carl, the thing is, if I stopped, I think I'd probably get quite arthritic, and then I wouldn't be able to drum the way that I still can now. So the fact that he kept going and kept doing it is what keeps him going. So I'm assuming it's kind of the same thing for a wrestler in the same sense, because I remember Kurt Angle, when he took maybe about 2 years off from the ring, when he came back to the WWE, his body didn't move the same afterward because he wasn't continually out there taking the bumps, having that callus, I suppose you would say. You're known for your bumping, your selling. At this stage of your career, are there any bumps that you won't take anymore?
All of them. No, I'm just, well, yes, it definitely is. Man, when I was a kid, I used to drop kick off the top rope. I'd dive from the top rope out on the floor. But I still do the dives from the ring to the floor. I do the Canadian Destroyer. I do a few things that fits in with me that I'm comfortable doing. But another thing about our business is it's a lost art. And matter of fact, I just posted this other day. You got to be able to take care of the guy that you're wrestling. Our days, the injuries are just mounting up, and some of the guys, their careers are cut short, and the reason why is because they don't take care of each other. When I get in the ring with somebody, I'm putting my body into your hands, so I'm asking you to take care of it. And nowadays they don't know that. That's why I don't do a lot of things. I know you remember beautiful Bobby Eaton from the Midnight Express. See, Bobby made him go all night long, and I can trust Bobby with anything that I wanted to do because I knew he'd be there to catch me, or he'd be there to stop me, or he'd be there to do this. And that's an art in our business that is really, really out there. But I'm not working for. I take more risks. If I was at AEW, I'd do something a little bit more riskier. And at NWA, I do things a little bit more riskier. But, being on the independent circuit, I'm just there to entertain. And I promise you this, and to me, I still give the people the money's worth. I will not leave the ring until I think the people has had their money's worth. And that's just the way I am.
Excellent to hear, Ricky. Excellent. And I want to kind of take it back in the day here when rock and roll used to work these matches where it sounded like Beatlemania in the crowd. No matter what you or Robert did, the girls in the audience screamed. And we watched a match between the Midnight Express and Rock and Roll just a couple of weeks ago, and I said to my friend, if one of them sneezed, the girls would start screaming. What was it like having that kind of adoration and attention from so many women?
Dude, we were rock stars. But you see, and this is at the time when the business changed. Years ago you had territories, and I'm not stopping. I'm going to go back to what you're asking me here. But the territories were, the top guys was the owner and his best friend, or the heels that they brought in to work. And normally all of them were 300 pounds out of shape, didn't work, didn't know. They just pushed themselves. And that's the bookers. The bookers just push themselves. But in our business, you have to be at the right place at the right time. Bill Watts had just retired. But he owned his territory, and he needed a booker that did not wrestle where you wouldn't push yourself, because Bill pushed himself. He didn't want a booker to push himself to capitalize on his territory. So they got Bill Superstar Dundee. I don't know if you know Bill. Bill was absolutely great wrestler, and I think Bill was from Australia, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah,
yes, and he took Robert and I to Louisiana, and you got to understand what a shock culture to our business, because all of a sudden you had these big monster guys, and then now you have the all-American baby faces coming in, just a different thing. And so we didn't have social media back then. Your TV was only in your area there, and that was everywhere until TBS, and all of a sudden here you go, you have the wrestling comes on every Saturday morning. Then the next thing you know, everybody's hearing about this new tag team that's come in, the Rock and Roll Express, the long hair, just like rock and roll groups, you understand. I remember at Bill Watts, the first night that they showed our videos and stuff, and we went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, our first night, and we get there, and the camera lady comes up, and she's got a microphone in my face, and she's asking us questions. Who's the Rock and Roll Express? And I'm talking to her. She says, do you know people have been camped out here for a week to buy tickets and to come to your show? And what a mind-blowing thing that is, to understand that we have turned wrestling into just like rock concerts, bad to the bone. Oh yes. And what was it like? Oh, girls chasing after you. Oh, I just hated that. That's the greatest thing in the world. But this is 40 years ago. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we took tag team to a different level in professional wrestling. And the promoters saw then, especially Jimmy Crockett, because he didn't wrestle. He always had a booker for him. But when the bookers come in, they pushed themselves. and it only did good. But then when you brought these outside talent in, and they're gonna have to get us because we're over, it changed everything. Guys, they went from the smaller buildings to the medium buildings to the big civic centers, the auditoriums, and even the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. And this is way before WrestleMania. This is way before all this stuff going on. I mean, it's unbelievable work of territory. And let me tell you, this is, and everybody in the world hears it. You know, when we wrestled the Superdome, they cut it in half, which is up, but that's still 40,000 people. You know, most of the time it was 200 people. Now we got 40,000 in this building. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it wasn't just us. It was the people that we worked with. The Midnight Express, you could not, to me, there's not a better heel tag team that will ever be, because the reason why is Robert and I, with the Midnight Express and Jimmy Cornette, we made history in the wrestling business. And, oh, yes, we changed. And I always remember this, and you know that too. You know, the three major things in life to always make money is liquor, food, and women. You hear me? And buddy, here we go. We go on these things. As you draw girls, you draw guys. And if you draw guys, you draw, especially the younger girls, you got to bring their parents with them. And all of a sudden, it just flew out of proportion. And Robert and I, not only were just known in Louisiana, worldwide. Everybody wanted us to come and work for them and we did. And we go to different places, and their buildings would be 10 times more than they ever drew before, just for one night.
Amazing. I always think about this. If there are really, really hot women in the crowd, then it is a surefire sign that whatever is on presentation is over. You watch a Kiss concert on DVD from the 80s. There's so many good-looking women in the audience. Motley Crue is the same. You see the Rock and Roll Express wrestle in the 80s. It's the exact same. I always equate something being hot and popular when there's good-looking women in the audience. It's just a fact, I believe.
Are you a musician?
I did sing in a rock band, yes.
Okay, because I can tell a little bit. My whole family, my wife's a country music singer, and then all my kids play. And I just want to tell this, even when we do slow down, we're gonna, I think outside the black box. I do stand up, and my whole family, everybody plays and sings. So we're gonna, we're gonna tour around. I'm gonna do a little stand up, then come back with my family, play music, and just have a good time. Just thinking outside that black box of different things to do and to cover. And my oldest son, he's in my oldest one. He's in Nashville. I mean, he writes a lot of songs for a lot of big country music stars, and he's really good. So we're gonna put that together, and we're working on a song right now that's, I think, in my opinion, and it's not about that it's so good a plan, but it's a catchphrase that I think is really going to get over. And in time will come, you'll hear it, you'll get to see it. And I think it's going to be really good.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to that. You did mention the Midnight Express, and I'd be ridiculous to not mention them in this interview. They are rock and roll's greatest rivals. What was it about the two teams that created such magic?
It's what our business is lacking today. Okay. You had two true baby faces. You had two true heels with a manager that everybody in the world absolutely despised. Okay. Now, and you put that combination together, now you're going to make it. If you notice today, and this is what I'm working on, and I really want to work with it, with Billy Corgan and NWA, is to have a real true heel team and build them. Yeah. I mean, you just can't even imagine, somebody asked me one day, he says, I've never been a heel. What do I do to be a heel? And I said, just do that. back up. That's all you got to do. And the baby faces. And I don't know if you ever go back and watch our matches, unless I was an egg. You watch the matches today, they start off, the first thing, someone throws a punch or they start hitting the ropes. And nobody understands. But see, even now when I wrestle, I tell a story before I even ball my fist. Now, you younger, they don't even have a damn clue what I'm talking about. And I tell guys this all the time. I said, listen to me. I'm going to sit here and talk to you today, and I want to explain some things to you. But right now, at this moment, I'll be better off talking to that wall, because you're not going to understand a damn thing I'm going to say to you. But I promise you, it'll be a time in your life and you're going to be in the ring and you go, damn, that's what Ricky Morton meant. You see, and that's what it is. That's what it is like. And Bobby and Dennis, they knew how to get heat. And what I mean by heat, they knew how to make the people mad. And they knew how to keep it. Jimmy Cornette was the greatest at even being, and not even talking, but being out on the floor, arguing with the fans. But one thing that he always did, I mean, he'd say stuff that these fans, really piss them off out there on the floor. But before he left, he got them back over. And he'll run. And that's the reason they bought tickets every week. Every little thing about our business, everything that we do means something. And until they understand that, how to do that, and it's still there. I do it all the time. I have a wrestling school where I teach that, man, and we still do that. And it still works. You can't believe some of them people, man, when we go down there, our heels, they'd be going to the ring, they get blasted by people throwing shit at them. And see, then it's working. With Dennis and Bobby, and that was what I'm trying to say. And I hope I answered your question for you, because that's something that they did that our business don't like anymore, because some people think it don't work. But you see, our business, when people think that they know everything about our business, it's simply a good answer for that. They don't know shit. Okay.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree. I often find myself sometimes watching tag team wrestling these days, finding myself frustrated whilst watching it, because I can see them cooperating with one another. I can see them standing there waiting for them to do the dive to the outside, which happens. What are the odds that would happen in every single tag team match, that there's going to be a spot where there are two guys waiting to catch somebody? It drives me wild, Ricky.
Yes, it does me too. It really, and it makes my ass want to dip snuff, to tell you the truth, is to watch it, and I get mad. But if you just slow down a little bit and understand, nowadays, everybody, and listen to what I'm going to say to you here. And see, I'm from the old school where I really protected my business, sacred business, for a long time. But you can't fight City Hall all the time. So nowadays, these guys, you have to be at the building at 12 o'clock in the day, and they sit back there and go over their matches for hours and hours and hours. And then when they go through the ring, you can still see through it. I always call it the next spot face. Look at the guys' faces when they're working. After they do something, they got that thinking of what they got to do the next time. And I know that's just the way of the wrestling today, but our business was so sacred in my day that you never dressed with the heel. Matter of fact, you didn't talk. If you talked to them in front of people, you got fired. That was the heels and the baby faces. Nobody knew your finish. Only but you did that way, because nobody could tell nobody. Many a times, brother, they play our music, and when we get in the ring, the referee would tell you, you're over. That means win, or you're down. The heels are over. That's what he said. Heels over. And we called everything in the ring. We go our time limits. And see, but by doing that, it slowed the match down. And then when you slow the match down, the people are able to watch and see what you're doing. I mean, I know you've been to a Broadway show, but have you ever been to a Broadway show that's a 2-hour Broadway show and they do it in 10 minutes? You wouldn't understand a damn thing.
Yeah.
You see? So that's what we got to get back to, is understanding and teaching these younger guys in this business that you got to learn that something might change in your match. I go to the ring and I listen to the people. It's just, I listen to them. I can tell a story by listening to the people. I can make them laugh. I can make them mad. I can make them cry, and I can make them come in that ring on your ass if I want to. Because it's years of experience of doing that. And this is what the younger generation, this is what the future of our business lies on. And see, this is something that I took my time with Kerry about. Now, see, he's still 21 years old. And in our business too, especially when you work territories, you wrestle every night and you wrestle somebody different. And wrestling somebody different, you learn different things, especially when you're working with top guys. And then you're able to listen to the people. You're able to change that, because learning to work, I can't teach nobody to work. No wrestler in the world can teach anybody to work. You have to learn that yourself, because it's like playing music. It's like playing the guitar. It's, you have to learn yourself. Somebody can show you some chords and show you a couple of riffs, but you got to learn how to do it yourself, how to put it the way that you do. And that's something that's really missing from our business. And I'm hoping I get an opportunity here pretty soon. And that's because I'm 66 years old. I'm too old to wrestle, but I'm not too old to teach. And I'm not too able to make people and make them understand the way that it should be, the way that people will enjoy buying tickets. You see things. You see all these younger tag teams on TV today, and they want me. Somebody asked me last night to compare myself to some of them. Well, I don't want to compare myself to some of them because they don't know what I know. Yes, they do crazy stuff that would normally. I'm waiting for him to shoot Hugo out of the cannon, but he's going to kick out on one. I promise you, they're not going to beat him. So that's what's wrong. And I hope I answered your question there, brother. I don't.
No, I'm loving this.
Damn.
I'm loving this, Rick. You're preaching to the choir right now. Sometimes when I'm watching wrestling, I'm like, does someone need to pull out a gun and shoot the opponent in order to get a pinfall right now? For the love of God. But anyway, let's get away from this subject now. Let's move forward to something that I really wanted to ask you about, because I thought this was a magical moment as a fan. 1st of October 2019, Rock and Roll Express win the NWA World Tag Team titles from the Wild Cards on NWA Power. It felt like a wonderful moment. How was it after all these years to have claimed such a position again and get that reaction that you did on that day?
Well, this is really cool, because now I understand. I'm going back to what I just told you, that we didn't kayfabe. That's when Jimmy Cornette was there, and I'm used to everybody giving you a finish, and nobody's coming to me. Nobody's said nothing to me. And then we get ready to go to the ring. Cornette goes, "Oh, by the way, y'all winning the world titles tonight." And I said, "Jimmy, I'm 60-something years old." He says, "Oh no, this is going to be great." But wild card is, do you know Thomas Latimer?
Yes,
Thomas.
yes, of course.
Okay, now understand me that I don't know where Thomas trained or where he came from, and they didn't know either until we got in the ring. But you see, when you're going to go in there and you're going to win the world titles from a tag team that are your world champions to some older guys in our business, you kind of fake. So when I locked up with Thomas, I took him over in the headlock. And then it's a secret in our business that I do. I give him, it's called the office. And he knew exactly what I was doing. And it's hard to get that. And that's the reason the match got over so good. because Thomas is that good. See, it's not about what he's doing to me or what about me. It's working. He knew that I was in my 60s when I took him over in the headlock and gave it. He picked me up right to my feet. Do you understand? It's working together. This is what's lost in our business. And to win the world titles, what absolutely blew my mind. And the crowd reaction. And understand me, we didn't have 10,000 people in there. You know, this was in a studio, and it blew the roof off the little studio place. And to do that, and after all those years, I mean, it was great. It was absolutely wonderful, the feeling, because at first I didn't want to buy into it because I'm an older man. I'm not out here to impress anybody. Now, if you want to impress me, eat an apple, shit a fruit salad, that would impress me. But other than that, it's not. But Thomas really impressed me in the ring. And that's the reason the match got over so good. And even his partner, too, because they knew how to work they knew how to work. They knew how to make Robert and I look like world champions. And how did it feel? Oh, gosh, it just blew my mind. I mean, that made us 9-time world tag team champions at the time. Okay.
Very cool. It was a very special moment, that's for sure.
Yes.
I think I wanted to ask you about it, and this doesn't just mean the work in the ring, but I want to ask you, what do you miss the most about pro wrestling in the 1980s, apart from just the in-ring stuff? Is there an attribute of pro wrestling from back then that you wish that was still around?
Yeah, it's our business being sacred. It's very hard to explain that when you're in a business nowadays, and I'm serious, you stop to think about it. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate Dave Meltzer, but nowadays everybody knows who's going to win because there's always somebody going to say something. And before the match even starts, they know who's going to go over. And, the fans already know who's going to win the belt 3 months from now. The fans will know who's the next person they're going to push. Our days, nobody knew nothing. Our dressing rooms, the dressing rooms that we were in were sacred. Nowadays, you go to shows and everybody, they got their mother, their kids, their girlfriend. It's all in the dressing room. Do you understand me? And that really bothers me because and I do this, and one thing I do is I respect the girl wrestlers of our business. You go to a dressing room, they got the girls in there with you. I'll raise hell. I tell the promoter, I said, go find them girls a dressing room where they can be comfortable, because I know they're not comfortable back here. And then you got a guy that's in the dressing room that thinks he knows everything about our business, and got his girlfriend in the dressing room. And I'm asking him, I said, dude, what is she working tonight? Oh, that's my girlfriend. Well, why is she in the dressing room? Oh, well, she's my girlfriend. She come back here. I said, okay, wait on a minute. I'll go get Robert. Now, you got to understand, Robert is a well-blessed human being. He got a pecker that would drag the ground. You understand me? I mean, it's down here around his knees. So I go in there. I said, Robert, get dressed. No, he take his clothes off. Now, let me tell you, he'd be glad to get his girlfriend out of the dressing room. But it's things like that you got to do. Man, what the hell is wrong with you? This is what we do. This is sacred. And the sacredness of our business is gone. And I hate that. That's my thing.
Fair enough, Ricky. Thank you for sharing. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
There's a few periods of time in your career that I really wanted to ask you about. You and Robert worked, I believe, 13 matches in WCW 1996, ranging from working with the Faces of Fear, Harlem Heat, High Voltage, the Horsemen again, of course, Fire and Ice, the American Males. Do you remember why the run only lasted, I think it was about 4 or 5 months? Why it was such a short run there? But how was the experience being there in 1996?
It was horrible. We just had a job. And I'm just going to tell you the truth, buddy. You talk about WCW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, Hey, you got guys that come in that, it turned corporate. You had guys that weasel their way into the office. And the reason I didn't like it is see, I never had a contract in my life. Some of these guys, and you think I'm bullshitting you, they make more in a month than I made in 46 years in the business. Hard to believe, isn't it? But it's true. Now, okay, you stop to think. They're in their corporate. They're spending billions of dollars of the corporate money to advertise these shows, and half of them are not even selling out, but they're pushing themselves. To me, I was just lost in the shuffle. I didn't like being there. I like the guys. Don't get me wrong. I love working with the guys. Booker T and all them guys. It was just being there because I had a job at the time. That's what that was about. I had a job. Then I found out that on independent circuit, you don't have the headaches. You don't have the bullshit that you got to put up with. You don't got to have somebody in the office. And like I told you earlier, you're pushing themselves because they want to be the movie star, and people are buying them like shit. They're not buying nothing they do. They're just there. And the only thing that really, to me, that saved WCW is when Hogan went in there and had a little run, and they did get their ratings up. And I like Terry, and Terry did do that. Terry did his thing, but the rest of them, they all sucked. And I'm just telling you that. It's like the same thing. We had a little run in WWF at the time, but see, that's when Smoky Mountain closed down, and we didn't have because Jimmy was going to work for the office at WWF. So they brought us in, but see, they did absolutely nothing with us. But one thing that I've got to say is Jimmy got us a paycheck every week. We got paid. He got us a job. We didn't just throw us out the window and hope for the next best thing. But the time that you're talking about, too, I was going to Japan a lot, so it really didn't phase me much. But when you get lost in a shuffle, they quickly forget about you real easy, and they had other plans for themselves. So I no, didn't like it, didn't want to be there, but I had to because I had bills to pay. I didn't have that guaranteed $100,000 coming in every week. $100,000. Now you understand that some of these people made $100,000 a week. Kiss my ass. I wrestled naked for. All right, go ahead, man.
No, awesome. I just wanted to ask about that because I became a fan of professional wrestling in about 1998. So as the years wore on and I became a bigger fan, I went back and watched stuff that I'd never seen before. So I remember watching 1996 WCW and seeing you and Robert show up and being like, oh, awesome. I had no idea that they were there at that point in time. And then a few weeks of the footage that I'm watching, all of a sudden I didn't see you guys there anymore. So I always wanted to know a little bit about that.
But let me cut. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to tell you something before I forget it.
Sure.
In WCW, we didn't have no contracts, and these guys did, and we had and you asked me why I was there. At the time there, I joined the York Foundation. I became a heel. Me and Terry Taylor and Terry Reynolds, which is Alexander York. And see, it's just having a job. But see, at that time, Robert got hurt. I'm gonna tell you the whole story. You'll love this. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee at the time, and Robert, I come in. Robert's just real quiet over in the corner, and I asked Robert. I says, everybody's in, and I walk up to him. I said, "What's the matter?" He goes, "I got hurt last night." Okay, so I just walked off because I know I'm thinking in my head, you got hurt last night. You didn't do shit. How'd you get hurt? You wasn't hurt when we left the building. So I went back to him later, and he told me, I said, "What really happened to you?" And he said, "My wife ran over me in the car." I said, "Oh shit, that must be one hell of a fight." But he took his pants off, and his leg was solid black. Okay. Now, we're not on contract. We don't get stuff like that. And we're going to wrestle Doom that night, Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. So I told Robert, I said, listen to me, bud. When the music plays, I'm going to shoot out this door and I'm going to go this way and that way. And you go here and get straight up on the ring for nobody can understand you. I said, I'm going to start this match off. And I said, when I tag you, come through the ropes and just fall. And he goes, are you sure? I said, just fall. Okay, so we did that. And see, everything's minds over matter. When only people don't know, only me and Robert knew. He fell. Butch Reed was in the ring, goes, damn, were you drunk? I said, no, did you hear his knee pop? Yes, I did. No, everybody's done heard his knee pop. You understand me?
Yeah.
So now he got hurt in the ring for a corporate business. Dude, they took him and flew him to the University of Alabama, where you had the best surgeons. They redid his whole leg. They paid for it. They paid him $2,000 a week, and I'm still wrestling every night, not even making half that. You understand me? For a year.
Wow.
So, and I didn't have a job. Well, first of all, they come to me. They wanted to team me up with Brad Armstrong to make the new Rock and Roll Express. I told them no. So then they didn't have a job for me. See, when you're in a territory and they turn you heel, that means they have nothing for you. You understand me? So, but by turning heel, being with Terry Taylor, we really got over, but at least I had a paycheck to come in every day. And when that was over, Robert came right back and I wrestled Robert. It was at Capital Combat in Washington, D.C. I had Alexander York with me. I beat him. I hit him with a computer. We rolled out of the ring and went back to the back, got dressed, and we left and went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, teaming up, and we popped that territory. So that's the way all that stuff happens like that, you see. But I took care of it, and I made sure that he was taken care of because I could still work, and I still do that today.
Very
it's
cool.
Just who I am.
That is a great story. You thought on your toes right then and there. And if you just told them that he got hurt outside of the ring at home, they would have just got rid of him. So because of that.
Fired him.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes.
Well done. I love that story.
Thank you very much.
I want to bring get away from WCW now. Let's not talk about that anymore. I want to ask about ECW because in '97 you worked 3 matches in ECW. How would you describe your experience there in Philly?
Okay, ACW. Are you talking about? I don't understand. ACW. I wrestled for so many. What was ACW?
ECW.
Oh, ECW.
Sorry, it's my accent.
Wow. I just went in and out. I was working everywhere else too. It was crazy. That was where the hardcore really started and began with Paul Heyman. Paul's a good friend of mine. And it's another thing, Paul said, man, why don't you come up and wrestle for us? I went up and worked with Tommy Rich. And another thing, Tommy Rich, I'm not trying to get away from the question you asked, but Tommy Rich is the most underrated wrestler ever in our wrestling business. Tommy Rich was the first Hulk Hogan in our business. Tommy Rich was the first babyface to ever get over and change our business for the younger people. Tommy Rich was the first one to do that. And nobody even mentions his name no more. Nobody even do that. But at this time, Tommy Rich was hotter than Georgia Pine, buddy, firecracker. But I enjoyed ECW, to get back to that. And Tommy worked there. And I worked with Tommy a lot there. And I worked with, let's see, Stevie.
Yep.
Ray. And the blonde-headed girl that was there with me. I don't know if you remember her. Go back and look at it. Well, that's my wife.
Really?
And yeah, she just with me, but she's, she don't have nothing to do with it. I just was on the road together, and she got a little payoff too, and I did too, in between things. But Shane Douglas and Tommy Dreamer, and all those guys. They were just young kids there. Steve Carino, Taz, a lot of them. Terry Funk was there a lot too. And Terry, he's crazier than a horse with no neck. He's doing that crazy ass shit. And now I understand why he's doing the crazy ass shit, because he's over, and you got to make money. You still got to go. So, and that was what the new fad was, and that's what Terry was doing. So.
Absolutely, and he did it so well. So many people I've had on this show, when I ask them like who their favorite professional wrestler of all time is, I'm telling you, so many people have said Terry Funk's name. It's just amazing.
Okay. I got you. My favorite wrestler?
Ric Flair. Sure. Ric Flair. Well, great choice right there.
Well, no. Can I explain that? I know you're going to ask. Go ahead and ask me a question.
No, go for it. What were you going to say?
I was one of the luckiest guys ever in this business. In NWA, Robert and I were teaming up, and boy, we got over. Dusty hated us, because, man, we were selling out everywhere we go. And I'm telling you, that's the backstabbing of our business, because Dusty was the booker. But Magnum TA, Terry Allen, you know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Magnum TA, they were grooming him to fight Ric Flair and to beat him for the world title. But Magnum had a car wreck and paralyzed us, broke his neck, paralyzed him. So all of a sudden, that spot, there's nothing there. Where are they going to go to? And in our business, I tell guys this all the time. I says, you have to go get this job. It don't come to you. But I was at the right place at the right time. I had a single match that night, in which Rick's one that got us into North Carolina. He's seen Robert now, because Rick traveled the whole world. So Rick wanted to do an angle with me, and it was the coolest thing in the world. There's a lot of great workers in our business, and I'm not saying Ric Flair was the greatest worker. Ric Flair was the greatest world champion ever, greatest world champion that there ever be, because Rick, it don't matter what it was, every night he gave you your money's worth. I wrestled Rick 17 days in a row. Then this is twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. Hour time limits. Okay. Then when those 17 days were over, we did 6 days of an hour and a half time limits. Okay. Now, during that time, it's like I went to the school of Harvard for wrestling. Boy, did I understand. It made me understand the business more, because, you still don't. It's even like today, I still learn something new every day. But I learned that Ric Flair, there's nobody could fill his shoes, because, buddy, he gave you your money's worth. It don't matter. And crazy stuff, and he worked hard. I've heard some of the wrestlers, he repeats himself. I said, but when you do hours every night, I imagine you're going to repeat yourself a couple of times. He's not going 10 minutes. He's not like, don't get me wrong, I love Terry, Hulk Hogan, but he's not Terry. He don't go 5 minutes. He gives you an hour. He gives you your money's worth. And that's what I respected about Ric Flair, and having the opportunity to be there. And a lot of people don't know this. Let me show you something here. A lot of people don't know this. In Richmond, Virginia. Well, here, I'll just get the picture. I got a belt right here too, but it's too hard. Right there. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's in Richmond, Virginia. I beat Ric Flair for the world title there. But when I beat him, they took me back in the back room and told me they're going to split me and Robert up. They gave the belt back to him. Okay. So you don't even know that yourself, do you?
Oh, I didn't.
And a lot of people don't. And they just gave me this not long ago. They just finally recognized. Let me say Ricky Morton. And this ain't that little finsy one that you get off the internet. This right here is one of the real ones here.
Wow.
So it's not the one that Conrad got. That's the one they put together and gave to me. And that's, a lot of people don't know that stuff. But I do.
Wow.
Yes, I in Richmond, Virginia. I beat Rick for it. But Rick put me right over it, and they did it in a way where the fans never knew and didn't know, and boom, and it was over with, and out I was gone. They wanted to split. Dusty was trying to split me and Robert up the whole time. Don't get me wrong, I love Dusty, but boy, me and him had some FU fights you would never believe. Okay, but I, but what it is I stood up for the boys, and I still do. That's the reason I didn't make the $1 million years, because sometimes you just can't fight City Hall. But I never went down. I never gave in. I never, it's like when I told you earlier they wanted to team me with Brad Armstrong. No, me and Robert are the Rock and Roll Express. Nobody's going to take his place, and I'm not going to subsidize that with anything else. I stood my rights. I stood my grounds. Maybe it cost me. But when I go to bed every night and every morning when I wake up, I feel blessed. I feel that I didn't screw nobody. And look at half of these guys that did all this right here. Either they're hell so bad or, and I'm serious. God works in mysterious ways, Bo, and not me. All right. So thank you for listening to that. And we get back to what you were saying. Okay.
No, I really appreciated that. That was really nice of you to show me the belt and show me that picture. I never knew about that.
Yes.
So when I learn something new, it's my favorite thing. So
cool, buddy. I mean, like the belt I just showed you. That's not that one you buy off the internet.
No,
the son of a gun right here.
That was very detailed.
Yes. And they gave that to me.
Again, Ricky, with my research, I believe 4 days ago, yourself and Robert won the RWA tag titles in West Newton, Pennsylvania, along this Rock and Roll Express farewell tour. Has the final match been decided upon with when and where?
No, we haven't. But I do know, so many places that you think, we have in our farewell tour, and I guess it's going to turn into like Kiss's farewell tour. It's going to go on for 14 years because there's so many places that we hadn't been and that we need to go back. And here in the United States, man, it's a lot of towns, that you want to go. But we're talking about it, and I'm going to, it has to be. Our last match has to be at NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. I will. I have talked to Billy Corkin about it, because that's who we started, bro. And we started in Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, Jerry Lawler, Jimmy Hart made the Rock and Roll Express. You might have heard that in years before, but our really big deal is, it's a lot of times in your life, the greatest moments in your greatest moments. You got to understand, we're just two kids that came out of Memphis, Tennessee wrestling, and then you win the NWA World Tag Team titles. It's the greatest moment. One of the greatest moments in my life. And another thing, and I know that I'm skipping around and I'm just asking my own self questions here, but this, and another great time that nothing can compare to either, is when WWE calls you, Hunter, and they tell you, say, listen, our Hall of Fame can't be legit because you have great tag teams, but the Rock and Roll Express are the greatest babyface tag team ever. Our Hall of Fame couldn't be legit unless we put you guys in it. See, because we never wrestled for WWE. We just chose for WWF and not WWE. And let me tell you, buddy, what a compliment. I got cold chills on my arms talking about that. It's because it's great moments in your life that really 50 years from now will go down in history and in the wrestling books. And though I know the feuds with the Midnight Express and all these we talked about earlier, but not only that, the Russians, the Andersons, and me with Flair. This is some things that I said, you sit back sometimes, you just think about it. And you asked me earlier too about when I'm going to retire. When it's like 2 days ago, I'm downstairs and I'm watching TV and I'm watching a fishing show. And about 15 minutes after watching that show, I'm going, what the fuck am I doing? This is the most boredest shit in the world. I got up, went to the gym. All right. Thought I'd throw that in there. Okay.
Awesome stuff.
Watching fishing. What the hell? Cool. Right.
Well, I guess it's to be decided when it will happen, but at least we know it'll be in the National Wrestling Alliance. So thank you for sharing.
Probably in June. It'll probably be June, July of next year, because Robert and I still have a few towns that we still got to hit. We're going to end it this year, but gosh, man, we announced this, and dude, you got to understand, we're trying to make a living. We didn't make the millions, and there is towns that we're going to make a lot of money off of in the next 6 months. But it's going to happen, And then you said I like to focus my attention after that on teaching the younger generations that it's more to our business than doing a fucking hot spot. Okay.
Thank you, and very well said.
All right, cool.
Cool, bro. Okay, Ricky, we're getting really close to the end of the interview here. This has been such an education. I've really enjoyed your thoughts on everything, because you're just confirming everything that's within my heart when it comes to my fandom in professional wrestling. But you've mentioned your favorite wrestlers, Ric Flair. I would assume favorite opponents over the years would be the Midnight Express.
Yes, that he is, but your opinion is, especially when it comes to me, your opinion's like your ass. Everybody's got one. Everybody has their own favorite. But to tell you the truth, and I've been there everywhere. Flair worked the hardest. He's the greatest world champion. But to me, the greatest worker in this business is Jerry the King Lawler. Go back and watch some of his. Dude, you just can't imagine Jerry, and still today. I work a lot of independent shows with Jerry. He gets in the ring with kids that don't know whether to wind their ass or scratch their watch, and he will absolutely tear the house down with them. And this is every night, and that's every opponent he gets in. I learned a lot. What education I got working business, and that's when it really began. But that's my thought, Jerry Lawler, and he is, and to me, in my opinion, and my ass. All right.
It's a great choice right there. Over the years, I know, look, you said before 50 years within the wrestling business. Yeah. Is there one match that you think back on that's your favorite, your proudest performance that you were a part of?
Oh, that was my matches with Flair. Right. Because when I first started, I don't know if you ever won an hour time limit or watched an hour time limit match. My first one, it damn near killed me. I'm glad I had Rick in there with me, because, buddy, I was super blowed. My check engine light done come on, and I was overheating. But Ricky got me through it. But about the fifth day into those hour Broadways, brother, my ass was ready. Is to go out and be in the ring with Rick and just entertain these people so much. And then I knew my part, and then I knew how to do it too. And to be out there to make magic with Ric Flair, to do that. And you got to understand, buddy, Rick, especially, this is how good Ric Flair is, okay? You have your heels and your baby faces. Nowadays, I told a guy that the guy told me he said, when I go out to wrestle tonight, the people will probably cheer for me. I said, well, they're only going to cheer for you if you want them to. You see what I'm saying? You don't have a clue about the business. But you ever thought about being, especially we're going to talk about Pittsburgh. I mean, not Pittsburgh, but Philly in a second. But could you imagine going out in Charlotte Coliseum where Ric Flair from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm wrestling him which they cheered me when I went to the ring, but when Rick come out, the whole thing changed. And then I'm going to tell you, because this happened the same way in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a straight ass, right up hill town. They hate the baby faces. I don't care who you are. They hate you. You understand me? These people don't even like ice cream. They hate everything. You see. So I go to the ring, but they're booing the shit out of me and throwing stuff. And here comes Ric Flair, and he's everything. Rick and I, this was another time we were going to go about 50 minutes in this match. And here Rick comes out. Now, see, this is what tells you what a worker is and what he understands and his job and my job. I mean, I'm everything but Ricky Morton. You hear me? I'm everything. Now, these people are the Bubba. 10 minutes in that match, Ric Flair turned half of the crowd. Okay? 15 minutes in that match, he done turned the whole people. Now, people are throwing stuff at Rick, and the people push the guardrails all the way up to the ring. You see what I'm saying? It keeps. I mean, boy, they're mad, and I'm selling. I'm taking bumps, hitting people, backhand. I knock them off the apron. They're coming in the ring on Rick. Arn Anderson comes down to the ring because he's, we always watch Tuck hear each other, and then here come Robert, and dude, I mean, they're throwing, we're fighting, we're supposed to go on. He was going to screw me that night. But in NWA, over the top ropes at EQ. And he told me, he says, Ricky, he said, Jesus, they're going to kill me. I'm going to get killed here in a minute. He says, I'm going to throw you over your top rope, land on the apron, run up the top rope. See if I do that, all the eyes will be on me. And when I did that, Arn grabbed Rick, slid him out, and they went out the front door of the building to come around to the back. And he got DQ'd because they were going to kill him. I'm serious. I mean, and seeing that, do you understand what I just said to you then?
Yeah.
This is working. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you change the thing. This is Ric Flair being Ric Flair no matter where the hell he is. Even though the people loved him, he's Ric Flair. He changed them that quick. And what an art that nobody knows how to do no more.
Yeah.
And that's why I respect Rick and like him. All right, cool. I don't know how we got there, but we got it.
I loved it. I loved it. What a great story. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Ricky. I've only got
Cool,
a few
buddy.
more questions to go here, Ricky.
Sure.
It's just about your favorite things outside of wrestling. Ricky, do you have a favorite book?
I read a lot of James Patterson's books, and I like the thrillers, the murders, and all the mysteries and stuff. It's not just one of them, but all of them. James Patterson, I like to read some of his stuff.
Excellent. Very good choice. Do you have a favorite TV show?
A favorite TV show? You know what? I watch a lot of TV, and I hate the news today because, Jesus Christ, it's the worst shit in the world. No wonder our country's in the shape that it's in. But I do, what I watch. I don't know if you have it there, and it's called First 48. It's the murders.
Yeah, awesome.
Some of those get real, and I like that. I enjoy watching that show. Excellent.
You like the crime stuff.
Good.
Very cool.
Yes. It teaches you where to be and not to be. You hear me? when to run and when to scoot, buddy. I'm not bullshitting you. Okay.
Ricky, do you have a favorite film?
You know what? I like a lot of the stuff. Daniel Washington's favorite. I like the one he's in. I think it's called The Exterminator or something like that. Can't think of the name of it. I like thrillers like that. I tell you a great movie that I just watched, and for me being down south, is the Elvis Presley's new movie.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Because people don't really understand. It's in any business. Colonel Parker, how how, like the promoters, they cheated us and stole from us, and how Colonel Parker stole from Elvis. But, he was so popular that then on he became more popular. But you got to understand, it's real life, rock and roll, and it wasn't just music. And we're really the same business. It really works off the same things with the promoters and all this bullshit that you got to put up with. And I really like the Elvis movie. Not only that, I'm a big Elvis fan anyway. The way he was brought up and came, and being at the right place at the right time. Especially when they were starting to book him, they thought he was a black singer, and that's cool, man. Because I say you're playing music. All their music. Before you can be a musician and before you can understand music, you got to be a blues player, buddy. You got to understand the blues. When you understand the blues, and then you learn how to play it and learn how to understand that, you'll be successful in music. And I'm not saying that. I'm just all of them. I mean, you start to think about the Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix and all they were blues players, and it's really badass. People don't really even realize that. Even Led Zeppelin were blues players. So it's really cool, and so they got me into Elvis. That's why I liked him so much.
Very cool. And speaking of music, the next one was: do you have a favorite band or a favorite musical artist?
But yeah, God, that's hard to pick. I like so many of them, but a lot of I have a lot of friends that play music. But like country music singer Joe Diffie that died of the COVID virus. John Prime, I don't know if you heard of John Prime, a singer. He died of the COVID virus. I have a lot of them. I just can't really have one that sticks up. Hey, since my boss man might be watching, I think I go with Billy Smashing Pumpkins. Okay, I get me some check marks there. But not only that, and I will tell you this: when you get to know people, Billy's a hell of a guy, and I'm not getting away with this, and I'm not sitting here trying to spoon up to him. He's a great musician, and I didn't realize, that he playing a piano when he was 4 and 5 years old, and he was, and all this stuff. I just don't realize, how much experience these guys have got to be who they are. Billy's a hell of a guy, even, out in the business and outside the business. He's funny as shit. I like Billy. So, to get my strides, I'm Smashing Pumpkins. Hey, I tell you who I like too. No. Let me I forgot about my friends Lars Fredriksson, Ranson. You know them?
Of course, yes, Ranson.
Oh, hey, I love him, man. He's my buddy. You hear me? And I didn't. And when I met him, he's the lead singer for him. I just liked it. Me and him got along good. And finally, I asked the sweetie, he says, I'm Ranson, the punk rock band. I said, you got to be shitting me. And it was, it sure was. I didn't know. I was out in San Francisco, and just ran into him. We just hung out for a while. You know what I'm saying? Cool.
That's cool, Ricky. That's cool. We've only got a couple more to go here, Ricky, and then I can let you get on with your day. Getting away from the arts now, do you have a favorite food?
You call me anything in the world but late for supper. I liked all kinds of food. I was a country boy when I was a kid. We was raised on a farm. You had a lot of you didn't have meat every day. You eat a lot of vegetables and stuff. And I like all kinds of food. I like chicken, I guess, is my favorite, because chicken goes with chicken. You can never go wrong with chicken. You hear me? And that's the reason why. And being on the roads, especially you go to. I remember my first time I went to Japan, and once you get out of the Tokyo, out of the city, it's not Americanized no more. And when you go into a restaurant there, it ain't like you go into a big restaurant. It's just a table. You pull a chair up and you set your hats down, and they bring you whatever they cooked. But I remember we was in a town for a couple of days. We went to there eat, and they bring a plate put in front of me, and it's still crawling. And I'm thinking, I'm not eating that shit, you know. But about 2 days went by. I went in and I ordered 3 of that shit. I was hungry. All right. So, yeah, I didn't care. I learned, I turned into Andrew Zimmer. You understand me? I like the exotic foods. And then, but me and my wife both, we try anything to eat, except for the hot shit. A lot of your overseas uh, uh, food, or they have spices on it, bro, that you can light a cigarette off of. But I enjoy it. I don't have a chicken, which is my favorite food because it goes with anything.
Very nice, Ricky. We got 4 to go here. 4 to go. Do you have a favorite place to eat on the road?
Waffle House.
Number one answer.
You have Waffle House?
We don't. We don't have a lot here, unfortunately.
Do you know what Waffle House is? It's in the United States to see Waffle House.
I haven't been. No, I haven't seen it.
I mean, do you understand what a Waffle House is? Just a little restaurant that serves breakfast 24/7, and
right.
They have hamburgers. It never closes. It's open 24. The food's always hot. Food's always quick, and it's reasonable priced. And at 3:00 in the morning when you're half drunk and a little bit of high, there's nothing better than a fucking waffle. You hear me? And it's always there. Yeah.
Cool, man. We got 3 to go here. Do you have a favorite alcoholic beverage? And if you don't drink, though, just a favorite beverage in general.
Personally, I quit drinking about 5:00 this morning. My beer, I like Mick Ultra. Me and my wife, we are professional alcoholics. No, we don't. No, when me and her are going to Vegas Sunday for Karlifornia Haguesly, we'll be there for a week, and I promise you, we'll do a week's worth of drinking. My wife lives down in. I told you my wife's a senior. She lives in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We're married, but I'm up here because we still have have 8 kids. Our youngest son's still in college, so I'm here, and I go see her. She works there. She sings there. And all other things. But every time I go down to see her, I live in the mountains of Tennessee, but when you have moonshine, and you ever drink real moonshine, have you ever had some? I was over my buddy's house the other day. I was over my buddy's house the other day. He says, Ricky, man, I just made this new batch of moonshine, try it. And I took a big drink of it, and I found something real cold on my shoulders. And I looked over, and it was the floor. Yes. My beer is Mick Ultra, and I like all kinds of different kind of liquor. Me and my wife have shots from tequila. I just don't like bourbon too much. I'm not a bourbon guy, especially you take a big shot of Jack Daniels or something, and I don't know what monkey piss tastes like, but it's it's just, god damn, it's awful. But all right.
It really is, Ricky. 2 to go here, Ricky. The second last one here, it could be considered the naughtiest question of all on this segment, but it could also get a very meaningful answer. You never know. Favorite female body part. Ricky Morton sees a good-looking lady. Where will Ricky Morton's eyes go to first?
Where my eyes go to, the ass and legs. The ass and legs and the boobs got a lot. But, things have changed. Me and my wife, we've been together for 40 years. And I figured out nowadays that, woman, it's like taking them to a body shop, a car body shop. You understand it. You take them in there, say, listen, I need you to raise up the back end and a little bit in the front, adjust the middle, and I pick her up on Friday. But no, yeah, I'm a ass and legs girl. Yeah, that's what I like.
Very good, fantastic answer. I'm the same as well. I convey with that. The last one here, Ricky Morton. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Number one answer.
When I do, stand up. I always get the before I start off, I'm talking to the crowd. We count how many times I say "fuck" during my show. Sometimes they get up in the hundreds, because everything is, like here's my dog sitting beside me. If he jumped my lap, what's the first thing you're gonna say? Fuck. All right, you spill your drink. Fuck. And my wife looks at me.
You see a nice ass and you see some nice legs, go fuck. Right there.
Oh shit. And my wife, when she looks at me, fuck you. I just cool.
Thank you so much.
I think
Ricky
that's
Morton.
everybody.
I really appreciate this so much. This was such a great interview.
Thank you. But I want to tell you something else. My wife,
Sure.
about 2 weeks ago, she told me, says, "Let's go to a pot party." I said, "A pot party?" I said, "Yeah, I don't smoke pot. I don't, but a lot of my friends do. I'm a wife." I says, "Yeah, you smoke pot a lot?" She goes, "Because she says, oh no, but we're going to a pot party. It'll be fun." Get there, and they're selling Tupperware. Yeah, pot party. What the fuck? Hey, thank you for having me on your show. It was absolutely wonderful, and thanks so much. And if you come to the States, please look me up. All right, I'd love to meet you. All right.
Me too, Ricky.
And another thing, I'm a hugger. Okay, people that I love, I hug. And before I do go, I wanted to tell you this too. And this is one thing that I do at every wrestling show. Before I leave, I always hug and tell the boys that I love them, because there's so many that I wished I did do that I didn't. It's one thing I can say about Bobby Eaton the last time, because every time I've seen him, I loved him and I kissed him, and because he's my friend and I loved him. All the boys in our business, even though if you're assholes and bad, I still love you. And thanks all of you for being the biggest part of my life. Things that in my mind that would never be erased, because my love for this business is, there's no boundary, there's no end to it. And nobody can ever take that away from me. And I love you all. And thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk about my business, having a few laughs, and telling people things that they didn't know. And if they disagree with me, I promise you, I'll prove you wrong. You have a wonderful day, my friend.
Thank you so
much.
You take care.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you very much.